You are just trying to do something simple. Type an email, finish a set at the gym, write a message on your phone, and then you feel it. That quiet, heavy sense that someone is watching you. Your chest tightens a little, your shoulders creep up, your thoughts, which were flowing a second ago, you suddenly start tripping over themselves. You become hyper-aware of every tiny movement, the way your fingers hit the keys, the sound of your breathing, the angle of your back as you lift the weight. In other words, your whole nervous system flips from doing the thing to how do I look while doing the thing? And the task you were handling just fine now feels 10 times harder. Most people call this shyness, weakness, being overly dramatic. Maybe you've told yourself that too. Why can everyone else work normally when people are around, but I feel like I'm under a microscope? But that diagnosis is wrong. What you're feeling is not random. It's not a character flaw. It's a specific personality trait wired directly into your threat system. High public self-consciousness. Here's the shift. Your brain is not just noticing you're being observed. It's treating observation like a possible attack, not physical danger, social danger, rejection, embarrassment, losing status in the group. Your heart rate goes up, your muscles tense, your thoughts scatter, because your survival wiring believes you are on trial. This reaction once made perfect sense. In a small tribes, maybe 50 people you saw every day, being judged harshly could mean losing protection, resources, survival. So your brain evolved to track other people's attention obsessively. That uncomfortable rush you feel when someone looks at you? It's an ancient alarm. It's saying, careful. Your place in the group might be at risk. And this is not something you can fix by just stopping caring what people think. That popular advice sounds strong. The problem is it ignores how biology works. You cannot bully your brain out of a threat response any more than you can lecture your heartbeat into slowing down. The problem is not a lack of willpower. The problem is that your survival system is misreading neutral observation as immediate danger. But here's where it gets interesting. The exact trait that makes you hate being watched is also the trait that, if trained correctly, can turn you into someone who becomes calmer, more focused, more disciplined under pressure. Think of performers who seem to come alive the moment the lights hit them. Their brains learn to treat attention not as an attack, but as a cue for precision. In this video, we're going to take that same wiring and show you how to reshape it, so that being observed stops draining your energy and starts sharpening it. To do that, we first need to name what is actually happening in your brain. Most people call it shyness, awkwardness, being bad with people. But the real thing you're dealing with is a specific trait, high public self-consciousness. Here's the distinction psychologists make. There's private self-consciousness. That's your awareness of your inner world, your thoughts, your feelings, your values. Then there's public self-consciousness. That's your awareness of how you appear to others. It's like a built-in camera constantly asking, how do I look right now? How am I coming across? This video is about that one. If you're high in public self-consciousness, your mental camera is almost never pointed at what you're doing. It's pointed at you doing it, as if you're hovering outside your body, watching yourself from other people's eyes, scanning for flaws, mistakes, tiny changes in their expression. And your brain treats every raised eyebrow like a threat to survival, not just a casual reaction. Why? Because your nervous system was wired in a world where being rejected by the group could literally mean death. The problem is your modern environment is full of harmless eyes, co-workers walking by, people at the gym, a camera in a meeting, even the imaginary audience in your head. Your brain still reacts as if every glance is a performance review that decides whether you get to belong. So you feel watched when you type an email at work. You feel watched when you try a new machine at the gym. You feel watched posting something on social media. then replay it 10 times, looking for reasons people might judge you. Objectively, most people barely notice. Subjectively, the spotlight is blinding. This trait is common. It overlaps with social anxiety, but it's not a diagnosis and it's not a moral failure. It's simply a setting in how your brain processes social information. Once you see that, you can stop calling yourself weak and start treating it like a design challenge, because high public self-consciousness quietly attacks your discipline. When you feel constantly observed, every action becomes a test. Starting a new habit feels like stepping on stage, failing a rep, missing a day, looking like a beginner. None of that feels inconvenient, it feels dangerous. So you avoid, you delay. You wait for the perfect moment when no one is watching. That moment rarely comes. And here's what's really happening. This is exactly why willpower and motivation feel so unreliable for you. You're not just fighting laziness, you're fighting your brain's fear of public mistakes. The good news? Once you understand this trait, you can use it. When you see it as a predictable pattern instead of a personal flaw, you can redesign your environment, your habits, even your identity, so that being observed stops blocking your growth and starts reinforcing it. In the next part, we're going to turn that imaginary audience into a tool for discipline instead of a source of dread. So let's zoom in on what actually happens in your head when you walk into a room and feel like every eye turns toward you. Psychologists have a name for this: the spotlight effect. Your brain acts like there's a literal spotlight following you around, highlighting your appearance, your mistakes, your awkward moments. In other words, you feel like the main character in everyone else's story. The reality: most people are too busy worrying about their own imaginary spotlight to track yours for more than a second. Researchers have done simple but brutal experiments on this. They make someone wear an embarrassing t-shirt, send them into a room, then ask, how many people noticed? The person dramatically overestimates it. This is because your internal experience is so vivid that your brain assumes it must be vivid for everyone else too. The problem is, your nervous system treats that assumption as a threat, not just a quirky bias. Now watch what happens if you're high in public self-consciousness. That mild spotlight effect gets supercharged. You don't just think, people might notice me. You build a whole narrative. They saw me walk in, they noticed my posture, they heard that weird crack in my voice, they're grading my performance. And once that story starts, your brain keeps feeding it like a 24/7 commentary track. In that space, a normal social situation becomes a performance review. Your brain's ancient social threat detection kicks in. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by a small tribe was not just embarrassing. It could threaten your survival, your protection, even your access to mates and resources. So your brain evolved to overreact to social cues, to scan faces for any hint of disapproval, as if it were a snake in the grass. You feel that in your body. Heart rate jumps, shoulders tense, breathing gets shallow, thoughts start racing. Do I look weird? Did I say that wrong? Are they bored? Your discipline disappears because all your mental energy is now spent monitoring the imaginary audience instead of the task in front of you. Someone glances your way at the gym. Suddenly it feels like a panel of judges is scoring your form. And it's not just the gym, it's opening a document at work while a co-worker walks past. It's speaking up in a meeting, it's even hitting publish on a post. Your brain reacts to these tiny, modern moments as if the tribe is about to vote you out. But what if that same hypersensitive system could be flipped? What if the part of you that panics under observation could be trained to see eyes on you as fuel for focus, accountability, and consistent action instead of a signal to hide? In the next section, we're going to start rewiring that spotlight so it finally works for you. And this is where it stops being theoretical and starts ambushing you in the most ordinary places of your life. Because high public self-consciousness doesn't just make you blush in meetings, it quietly rewires your daily environment so that anything visible, risky, or growth-producing feels dangerous to your survival system. Take the gym, you actually want to get stronger. You watch the tutorials, you know free weights are more effective. You even walk toward the rack. Then you see people nearby. Instantly, your brain lights up. They're all watching, they'll notice every mistake. So you drift back to the same machine in the corner. Same weight, same comfortable range of motion. You never push to failure because failure feels like public humiliation, not a training stimulus. And 3 years go by, your body is putting in time, your discipline never deepens because you've designed every workout to avoid being seen. Struggling. Work is the same pattern in a different costume. You have to present a simple update. Objectively, 10 slides. Subjectively, your nervous system acts like it's a trial. You over-prepare, spend hours adjusting fonts, rehearse every sentence, then rush through it at double speed because you feel every eye as a threat. The problem? Your brain learns a very specific rule. Visibility equals pain. So next time a high-profile project appears, you subtly step aside. You volunteer for back-office tasks. You avoid leadership. You stay where your effort is invisible. In other words, your career ceiling is no longer your talent. It's how much observation your anxiety will tolerate. The same trait strangles creative output. You sit down to record a video, write a post, share your art. The camera turns on and your brain doesn't see a lens. It sees a jury. You record 20 takes, delete 19. Never upload the last one. You imagine comments that haven't been written, rejection that hasn't happened. This is because your brain chases immediate comfort over long-term reward. 0 posts means 0 public mistakes, but it also means 0 real practice. Your discipline around creating never has a chance to form because the loop never completes. Attempt, feedback, adjust, repeat. Relationships aren't spared either. You get invited out, but you picture every silence as judgment, every story as a performance review. So you decline. Or you go, but you keep your real opinions locked away. Your weird humor, your actual enthusiasm. People see a muted version of you. You walk home thinking, no one really knows me. High self-consciousness promises protection. It delivers loneliness and regret. Watch the real damage. This trait doesn't just make you uncomfortable, it systematically steers you away from the exact behaviors that build discipline, consistent practice, visible effort, public attempts where your brain has to learn to stay calm under observation. If you keep obeying it, your life gets safer on the surface and smaller underneath. In the next part, we're going to flip that script and turn eyes on you from a danger signal into a training tool. So your discipline grows every time you feel watched instead of collapsing. To flip that script, you first have to understand the stage you're standing on. Your brain was not built for this world. It was built for a village. Imagine a small band, maybe 50 to 150 people. Everyone knows your name, your family, your usual role. You hunt, you gather, you weave, you watch the fire. You're not anonymous, but you're predictable. In that world, public mistakes are not just embarrassing, they're dangerous. If you mess up a hunt, waste resources, or look incompetent too many times, your reputation drops. And in a small tribe, reputation is directly tied to food, protection, survival. Less trust can literally mean less help when you're sick or injured. This is the key. In that environment, social rejection is a genuine survival threat. Your brain learns, do not look foolish in front of the group, do not take visible risks, do not show clumsy effort. In other words, it wires itself to avoid anything that could lower your status or stability. Now fast forward to your life. You're no longer in a camp. You're in an open office with glass walls. You're in a gym lined with mirrors and cameras. You're on social media where anything you post can be screenshotted, replayed, and judged by strangers you'll never meet. You live functionally on a permanent stage. The problem? Your brain is still running the old tribal software. It thinks you're in a tiny group where every visible mistake will be remembered forever. When you give a presentation at work, it reacts as if the entire tribe is deciding whether to keep you. When you record a video or post your work online, it acts like one bad comment could get you exiled. Meanwhile, your ancient hunter-gatherer self is cautious, conservative, obsessed with saving energy. It wants comfort, routine, familiar roles. You are the quiet one. You are not the person who speaks up. You are not the person who lifts heavy in front of others. The modern world demands the opposite: constant learning, visible effort, public iteration. Today, discipline often means doing hard, visible things with no immediate reward. Presenting before you feel ready, posting when you know it's imperfect, lifting weights while people might watch you struggle, studying in a library where someone could see you reread the same line 3 times. Your ancient brain hates this deal. It's calibrated for immediate safety, not long-term growth. So it sends anxiety, self-consciousness, the urge to hide. The real shift, that reaction is not proof you are weak. It's proof your hardware is outdated for your environment. You are not broken for feeling watched. You are a Stone Age brain trying to operate inside a modern supercomputer world. The next step is not more self-blame. It's building smarter systems that guide this old brain safely onto the new stage. So now you have this Stone Age brain in a modern spotlight. And this is where most advice goes completely wrong. People tell you, just don't care what they think. Be confident, push through, fake it till you make it. It sounds powerful, disciplined. The problem? All of that advice assumes one thing: that your conscious willpower can simply override automatic threat responses that evolved for survival. In other words, they're asking a tiny rider to wrestle a terrified elephant. When you feel observed, your brain is not just doing the task. It's also running constant social simulations in the background. How do I look? Did they notice that mistake? Are they bored? Are they judging me? This is because high public self-consciousness keeps your attention glued to how you appear, not just what you're doing. And every one of those background questions costs energy, so your cognitive load spikes. Part of your mind is trying to lift the weight, write the email, give the presentation. Another part is scanning faces, predicting reactions, replaying tiny moments in real time. It's like trying to run 2 heavy apps on an old laptop, while also screen recording. Everything slows down, everything feels harder than it should be. Watch what your brain does next. When something feels harder, it assumes it's more dangerous. Effort and threat get tied together. You go to the crowded gym once and force yourself through the workout. On the outside, it looks like discipline. On the inside, your nervous system is burning through fuel at triple speed. You come home exhausted, not just physically, but mentally. And your brain quietly files a note. Crowded gym equals danger. Avoid next time. In that moment, willpower did not fail because you're weak. It failed because you tried to use a short-term conscious push against a long-term automatic pattern. You might manage to speak up in a meeting once, or post that video once, but the internal cost is so high that your system learns very efficiently to never put you in that position again. Avoidance becomes the new discipline. Now notice something else. The people you think of as naturally confident and disciplined are not necessarily stronger than you. Very often they've built an environment and a set of habits where visibility feels safer, more normal, even rewarding. They lift with friends who cheer, not strangers who stare. They speak in rooms where they've spoken many times before. They treat cameras like familiar tools, not weapons. This is because they're not spending all their willpower fighting social threat. Their design reduces the cost of being seen, so their motivation can go into performance, not self-protection. So the real question becomes, if raw willpower is not enough, what kind of structure actually lets some people stay calm, stay consistent, and even feel energized when it feels like every eye in the room is on them? So to answer that, we need to bring in someone whose whole career is built on this question. James Clear. In Atomic Habits, he has a line you may have heard: "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." Most people hear that and think about productivity or fitness, but it quietly explains why your brain melts the moment you feel watched. The usual belief: people who stay calm under observation just have more discipline or thicker skin. But that's backwards. What looks like discipline is usually design. In other words, the environment, the routines, and the identity are doing the heavy lifting, especially when your nervous system thinks it's under social threat. Watch what's actually happening. When you hate being observed, your brain is not neutral. It's already spending energy on survival mode. Your heart rate is up. Your attention is scanning for judgment. Your willpower is being burned just to appear normal. The problem, you're trying to ADD disciplined behavior on top of a system that's already overloaded. Think about athletes competing in front of thousands of people, musicians walking onto a bright stage, leaders presenting quarterly results while the whole room stares. From the outside, it looks like they were born with more courage. Most of them will tell you a different story. They have warm-up rituals, rehearsal schedules, checklists, mentors, a clear identity. I am a performer. I am supposed to be seen. Their environment and habits make being watched the default, not the exception. This is because systems slowly teach the brain that public effort leads to reward, not danger. The locker room routine, the daily practice, the small early wins in front of others. All of that tells the nervous system: when eyes are on you, good things happen. So their high alert response is softened by repetition and design. Now connect this to your high public self-consciousness. That trait is not the villain. On its own, it just makes you acutely aware of how you appear to others. Without any system, it turns into an inner critic that attacks every move. They saw that mistake. They think you're incompetent, you should hide. In that case, your sensitivity becomes a brake. But with the right design, the same trait becomes an accountability engine. If you know people can see your screen at the library, your brain nudges you away from endless scrolling. If you schedule a workout with a friend, your sensitivity to their opinion pushes you to show up. Your fear of eyes becomes free, external motivation. So here's the thesis James Clear would push you toward: stop trying to kill your sensitivity. You will lose that fight. Instead, design your habits, your environment, and even your self-talk so that being observed is expected, structured, and slightly rewarding. In the next part, we're going to turn this into concrete drills you can start using this week, even if right now you still avoid the front row. So let's name what you're actually fighting. You're not just battling nerves or a vague fear of people. You're living with a built-in piece of mental software psychologists call the imaginary audience. This is because your brain is a prediction machine. All day, it quietly simulates other people watching you, judging you, forming opinions about your performance. Walking into the gym becomes, in your head, a live broadcast. Opening your laptop at a cafe turns into, everyone can see how slow I'm working. Normal life becomes a series of tiny performances you never auditioned for. And most of those viewers are not real. The spotlight effect shows that people dramatically overestimate how much others notice their mistakes, outfits, awkward moments. You spill coffee, you think it's a scandal. They think, I'm glad that wasn't my shirt, and move on. But your nervous system doesn't move on. It logs it as social danger. Watch what's actually happening. Your real conflict is not with other people. It's with your own predictions of their opinions. Your brain is trying to protect you from embarrassment, rejection, loss of status. You, meanwhile, are trying to build discipline, ship work, speak up, grow over years. These are two different agendas. The problem, your brain is optimized for immediate survival and emotional comfort. It wants safety now, relief now, less effort now. You're aiming at long-term rewards, competence, confidence, financial stability, deeper relationships. Every time you feel observed, those goals collide. Do I post the video or protect myself? Do I ask the question in the meeting or hide? You can feel that cost. Chronic frustration because you know you're capable of more. Self-criticism because you keep ducking opportunities. Exhaustion because every simple task, sending an email, joining a call, walking into a crowded room, demands extra energy to manage that inner audience. Over time, it's easy to build a story. I'm just not built for the spotlight, or I'm not disciplined enough to be consistent. But the reframe changes everything. Your character is not the villain here. The design of your inner audience is. Your brain is running a very old safety script in a very modern environment. Once you see that, you can stop attacking yourself and start editing the script. You can ask, what if their opinion is just data? Or what if being seen is a training ground, not a verdict? In the next section, we'll turn this into concrete drills, small, controlled exposures, and habit tweaks that retrain that imaginary audience. So your brain learns that being observed can actually support your discipline instead of destroying it. So when you step into those small, controlled exposures, what is actually happening inside your head? This is where your discipline story stops being about willpower and starts being about wiring. Your brain has a built-in alarm system for danger, not just tigers and speeding cars, but social danger, rejection, humiliation, status loss. The amygdala and its friends scan for anything that could threaten belonging. Because for most of human history, being pushed out of the group was a survival problem, not a social inconvenience. In other words, a raised eyebrow from your boss can light up some of the same circuits that once reacted to a predator. Now combine that with high public self-consciousness. Your threat system is tuned to social cues the way a smoke detector is tuned to heat. A simple glance, a comment. Even an imagined opinion becomes, they're judging me, I'm failing, I'm exposed. And the body does not politely wait for you to think this through. It goes straight into fight, flight, or freeze. Fight might look like overcompensating, working frantically, talking too much, trying to prove you're competent. Flight is closing the laptop, leaving the gym, switching tasks for a minute. Freeze is staring at the screen, unable to type the first sentence. You tell yourself, I lost discipline. Biologically, your system just prioritized social survival over your long-term goals. Once that alarm goes off, your brain also flips into energy conservation mode. This is because under stress, effort feels expensive. The brain prefers low-effort, familiar actions that guarantee immediate comfort. In that case, scrolling your phone, organizing your desk, or pretending to research a bit more are perfect. They're safe, they're non-exposing, they require almost no psychological risk. This is cognitive ease in action. Your brain is biased toward the path of least resistance, the option that demands the least correction, the fewest awkward moments. When you feel observed, the hardest path is visible effort, especially if you're a beginner. Lifting tiny weights while others deadlift, stumbling through a new language, writing clumsy first drafts while someone can see your screen. All of that feels like walking around without armor. The problem, discipline almost always looks like that. Visible, imperfect effort in an environment that might not reward you immediately. So your brain quietly reroutes you to whatever keeps you out of the spotlight. And all of this starts before you choose. The threat system fires in milliseconds, attention narrows, urges shift. By the time you notice, I don't feel like doing this anymore, your brain has already started steering you away from risk. So when we design those exposure drills in the next section, we're not asking you to suddenly become brave. We're teaching your brain that being observed is not actually lethal. That effort under watch can lead to reward, not exile. Once that flips, discipline stops disappearing the moment someone might be looking and starts getting stronger because they are. So let's zoom in on what actually happens in your brain the moment being observed becomes part of the picture. From the outside, it looks like you changed your mind. Inside, something very different is going on. Morning. Alarm goes off. You had promised yourself gym before work. For half a second, you remember the plan. Then your brain does something incredibly fast and incredibly old. It flashes an image of the crowded weight room, people near the mirrors, the feeling of eyes on your form, your body, your numbers. In other words, it quietly turns morning workout into public performance. And this is because your threat system doesn't care that it's 2026 and you're paying a membership fee. It cares about survival and belonging. High public self-awareness makes your internal spotlight blindingly bright. Your amygdala tags that imagined scene as a social risk, potential embarrassment, loss of status, loss of comfort. And before you can even think the sentence, your brain has already updated the value calculation. Bed equals safe, gym equals danger. In that moment, discipline never even gets a fair trial. You simply feel a heavy, sleepy pull back under the blanket and a strangely convincing story. I'll go tomorrow. I need rest. That story is not the cause of your decision. It's the explanation your conscious mind builds after the decision has already been made. The same machinery shows up when you try to study or do deep work. You open your laptop with good intentions, but the possibility of someone walking by, seeing your slow progress, glancing at your screen, or silently judging your confusion triggers that same social threat circuit. Your nervous system does not distinguish between "they think I'm stupid" and "I'm being chased by a predator" as cleanly as you'd like. So your brain offers instant relief. Open social media, check messages, answer quick emails. Now if someone looks over, you appear busy, responsive, in control. The problem? This tiny shift from vulnerable focus to performative busyness quietly kills long-term progress while giving you an immediate hit of safety and reward. You see it again with creativity and posting. You write the post, edit the video, design the project. You're literally about to hit publish, and your brain runs a lightning-fast simulation. Low likes, harsh comments, people you know seeing you try too hard. Your finger freezes. That is not weakness. That is your threat system overriding your intention in real time. In all of these moments, the choice to avoid is made pre-consciously. Your brain is simply following its default rule. choose the path that feels safest and most familiar right now, especially if someone might be watching. Willpower is arriving late to a decision that's already been logged. Once you see this as predictable brain software, not a mysterious flaw in your character, something powerful happens. You can stop arguing with yourself. You can start redesigning your environment so the easiest, safest feeling path is the disciplined one, even under observation. How do you actually do that step by step so your brain starts craving the very situations it used to escape? You do it by accepting one uncomfortable truth. Motivation is overrated. Environment is more important, especially when you feel watched. Most people believe that if they could just be braver under observation, their discipline would finally click. But that's backwards. Your brain is not failing because you lack courage. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do: protect you from social threat, conserve energy. In other words, if the arena is hostile, no amount of heroic self-talk will save you forever. Watch what an aggressive environment does. It keeps your social threat system permanently switched on. Mirrors everywhere, open office plans, hypercritical co-workers, public dashboards like counts, step counts, leaderboards. Your brain reads all of that as you are being evaluated right now. The problem? You're asking willpower to fight your habits and your biology at the same time. In that case, every small action becomes a performance. You do a set at the gym and instantly wonder, who saw my shaky form? You write a paragraph and imagine an invisible audience grading every sentence. You try a new skill at work and picture a mental scoreboard above your head. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between I might be judged and I might be attacked. It reacts with the same spike of tension and avoidance. Now, adi fatigue. At the end of a long day, your brain is low on energy and will default to autopilot. If the easiest options in your environment are hiding, scrolling, or quietly quitting on visible effort, you will eventually choose them, no matter how motivated you felt in the morning. This is not weakness. This is the path of least resistance doing its job. So you redesign the path. Picture two setups. In the first, every disciplined behavior starts private, gradual, and low threat. You practice presentations alone on camera before any meeting. You work out in a quiet corner or at off-peak hours. You draft posts in a notes app with no metrics, then share only when you're ready. The environment whispers. Nobody is watching yet. Experiment. Your trait calms down. Your brain starts to associate effort with safety and small reward. In the second setup, every attempt feels like a public exam. You join the busiest class, sit in the most visible seat, share every draft online, surround yourself with people who comment on everything. Discipline now equals exposure. Of course you procrastinate, so the sticky principle is this: do not ask your anxious, self-conscious brain to be brave in a hostile arena. Change the arena until bravery feels like the natural, low-resistance choice. In the next part, we'll turn this into concrete design moves you can make this week, so being observed quietly becomes your training ground instead of your trigger. So if the arena has to change, let's flip the biggest part of it. The meaning of those eyes on you. What if being observed was not a test of your worth at all, but coaching? You didn't have to book, pay for, or even ask for. Most people assume observation equals judgment, but that's not quite right if your goal is growth and discipline. Think about an athlete. A coach staring at their squat isn't thinking, "What a failure of a human." They're watching angles, speed, breathing, data. In other words, the same physical reality, someone looking at you, can either mean I'm under attack or my form is being measured so I can get sharper. And your brain reacts differently depending on which story you run. When you label observers as judges, your nervous system prepares for social survival, heart rate up, muscles tight, tunnel vision. When you label them as neutral data collectors, the threat response drops a notch. Still uncomfortable, but survivable. This is because the brain doesn't just respond to events, it responds to interpretations. Change the meaning, you change the chemistry. Here's the real shift. You do not have to like being watched for it to help you. You only have to rename what is happening. Instead of, they're judging me, try, they're noticing data points, or this is a repeat for my nervous system. You turn each awkward meeting, each camera, each pair of eyes at the gym into one more training set instead of a final verdict. In that case, you're not the victim of attention. You're the person deliberately training under it. That tiny mental shift matters. The problem, high public self-consciousness keeps whispering, they see everything and it's all bad. But that same trait, when pointed in a different direction, becomes a radar. It keeps you aware, intentional, present when people are around. Exactly what performers, surgeons, and leaders rely on under pressure. Start trying on a new identity. I'm the kind of person who trains under observation. Not on stage yet. In practice, at your desk when a coworker walks by. On a low-stakes call when your camera is on. You are collecting reps of staying online instead of shutting down while being seen. You don't need extra willpower. You need a different role in the story. And we won't leave this as theory. In the next phase, we're going to turn this reframe into concrete drills. Tiny exposure sessions, environment tweaks, and repeatable routines that teach your brain step by step that eyes on you are a cue to focus, not a command to panic. So now we shift from theory to training, not a personality makeover, a literal nervous system training plan so that being seen stops feeling like a survival threat and starts feeling like just Tuesday. The principle is called graded exposure. Your brain learns safety the same way it learned fear, through repetition. Your threat system is basically running a prediction engine. If every time you're observed, you escape, the prediction is eyes equal danger. If, again and again, you stay, breathe, and complete the task, the prediction quietly updates to eyes equal uncomfortable but safe. That tiny update is everything, so you do not start with giving a TED talk. You start with low-stakes drills. Work in a cafe for 20 minutes with your laptop open, even if you feel a little stiff at first. Do a light workout in a slightly busier part of the gym instead of hiding in the corner. In a small group, practice speaking just a bit louder than feels natural. In other words, you're not chasing perfection. You're collecting observed reps. 10 minutes here, one uncomfortable question in a meeting there. The goal is not to feel amazing. The goal is to stay, to finish the email, the set, the sentence, while your nervous system buzzes. That is the rep. That is how discipline under observation is built, minute by minute, not by a single heroic burst of willpower. To make this easier, you add self-distancing. When you feel that hot, self-conscious rush, talk to yourself in the third person. Okay, Sarah is practicing being seen right now. Or imagine you're coaching a friend. Stay with it. 2 more minutes, then you can leave. The problem? When you fuse with the anxiety, I am anxious, I am failing. Your brain treats it like an immediate emergency. Self-distancing creates a tiny gap, just enough space to choose the next action instead of obeying the panic. Now we layer identity on top. You're not just doing random scary things, you're casting votes for a new story. I'm someone who performs under observation. That identity needs tiny, repeatable habits. One visible rep each week. Post something you normally overthink. Ask one question when other people are in the room. Do one set in the main gym area instead of the quiet corner. Small, consistent, public. And to keep your brain engaged, you track and celebrate. Simple log, nothing, fancy, date, what you did. Anxiety from 110 before and after. Treat it like a game. How many observed reps can I collect this month? Suddenly, it's not a pass-fail exam, it's progress you can see. Your motivation stops depending on mood and starts riding on visible evidence. Because in the next section, we're going to take this one step further and show you how to redesign your entire environment so that being observed actually becomes the easiest path, not the scariest one. So now you can see it. The people who look naturally comfortable under eyes are not superheroes. They're just running a different design. And you've just spent this video rebuilding yours. Let's close the loop. You started with this heavy, vague hatred of being observed. It felt like weakness, like a personal flaw. But we've seen that what's really driving it is high public self-consciousness, plus an ancient social threat system in your brain. In other words, your nervous system is still acting like every glance is a tribe deciding whether you get food, safety, survival. The problem? Modern life throws you under the spotlight constantly. Meetings, cameras, open offices, gyms, social media. While your brain is still optimized for the small village, willpower alone collapses under that much exposure. This is because willpower is a short-term burst of effort, not a long-term operating system. Design and training win. Here's the real shift. You are not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. Scan for social threat, amplify the spotlight effect, overestimate how much people notice, remember, and judge you. The mismatch is not inside you. The mismatch is between that ancient wiring and an environment that feels like a 24/7 performance review. So we changed both. You named the trait instead of shaming it. You learned that most people are lost in their own thoughts, not running a full audit of your every move. You shifted from imaginary judgment to data, asking, what actually happened? What did anyone really say? You stopped trying to win with raw motivation and started using environment over willpower, choosing safer first reps, friendlier rooms, better times of day. Then you added training. Tiny exposure drills, speaking up, once in a meeting, filming a 30-second video you never post, doing the first set at the gym when it's a little busier than feels comfortable. Identity-based habits. I'm the kind of person who collects observed reps, instead of I'm the kind of person who hides. In that case, every small action is a vote for a calmer, more disciplined you under eyes. Now, future you. 6 months from now, after consistent observed reps, you give a short presentation and your heart rate spikes, but it levels off in seconds. You walk into the gym at peak time, pick up the weights, and your brain is busy counting sets, not stairs. You publish a piece of creative work, and then you go make dinner. No 3-hour shame spiral. Your baseline under observation is steadier, quieter, stronger, quick pattern, interrupt. What if that version of you is not far away, but exactly 60-100 small reps away? So here's your call to action. This week, pick one tiny exposure drill, ask one question in a meeting, work in a slightly more visible spot, or post one imperfect thing. Then pick one environment tweak that makes discipline easier when you're visible. Schedule the workout with a friend, sit closer to the front, lay out your tools where people can see you using them. Commit to both in the comments or to a friend. Turn this video from information into your first deliberate observed rep. And start becoming the person who doesn't just survive the spotlight, but quietly thrives in it.